Hello, my name's Dave Doyle. I'm a maker woodcarver from far west New South Wales in Australia. I live in a town called Broken Hill, but I'm originally from a town 110 kilometres south at a place called Menindee. My people have lived there for 45,000 years, and I'd also like to do a traditional welcome to country in my own language. It goes Nai Itu Kira Kira Inarna Urapina Barkindji Wumbachuku Wurtu Kumbakula Gandinya Gaipu Karingi Ikimandi Manindicha. I'm going to do a smoking ceremony, and I want to use this bowl. So first off, I just got to get a bit of sand. I'll explain it as I'm going, but I'll put a bit of sand in the bottom just to protect it so it doesn't catch on fire. So it's just a bit of sand in the bottom. I'm going to get some of the eucalypt leaves that I've got here behind me all ready to go. But I'm going to add this to it. This is a native lemongrass. This is just to get it going. And add on some of our medicinal plant leaves. So it's an Aromophila species. That's one we'll use for smoking ceremonies. The smoking ceremony represents the cleansing of the air around us, getting rid of negativity and making everything a positive experience. So I'm going to try and give you guys some through the camera as well. Just wanted to show the vastness of the landscape out here in the country where I live. So this is halfway between Broken Hill, where I live, and Menindee, my traditional ancestral home. I might travel out to Menindee to get my wood, which is about 110 kilometres. So this is about halfway along. As you can see, there's not much in the landscape, so it's a good reason why I travel so far, but the timbers that I go to collect are definitely worthwhile. This is the river red gum. It's a eucalypt species. It's growing on the banks of the Barker. That's our word for the river, or more specifically the Darling River. This tree was quite important. It provided shelter. Also, the timber was used for boomerangs, clubs, shovels, digging sticks. The bark itself we used for bark bowls or coolamons, as well as making canoes out of them. Next type of trees out here that we use for carving are the Acacia species. This one is mulga, very hard wood. Mulga trees were used for fence posts, and some of them are up to 100 years old, still in the ground. Termites don't touch them, they're just far too hard. Mulga does have a toxicity in the timber. I always use a respirator or a face mask with this one. The colours are really spectacular. There's a contrast between gold and deep brown. This is the next tree I'm going to talk about. It's another acacia. This one is called purplewood waddle or purplewood acacia. This one I have got a couple of artifacts carved out of, but it's a tree that we're not actually allowed to cut, so anything on the ground we're allowed to pick up, but these trees aren't allowed to be cut at all. The reason for it is there's only a couple of areas where in the region where this wood actually grows. It's quite vulnerable and on the endangered list because these trees grow from cloning. They've never been able to be propagated. I live in quite an arid zone. It's quite dry. We've had some recent rainfall, which has encouraged them to re-sprout. And as well as re-sprouting, there's quite a lot of those little bushes on the ground. They're all new trees coming up. This is a purple waddle or purple acacia. There we go. So we're not we're only allowed to pick this up off the ground, and until recently I was using it to carve, but then I was told by one of the elders this is for only for women to use, as like an embellishment or something, I guess. And one other thing I talked about was when you pick it up off the ground, it tends to be quite hollow. So this is just a wall hanger. This is the same type of timber, purple acacia, but from a different area. This is a club. Off the ground again, you can see it's got some cracks in it, but this one wasn't hollow. Here you can see me making or removing a bark bowl off of a river red gum tree. Other trees that we can take the bowls off are coolabah and black box, although I've only ever done the river red gum. They have a nicer bark, it's not as coarse. The technique I use is a box cutter and usually a rubber mallet, but on this day I forgot my rubber mallet, so I use the back of my axe. It just needs something to tap it to remove, to release the bark off the trunk of the tree, and then just a little bit of working with your fingers in underneath. So the colder it is, the easier the bark is to remove. The tree shrinks a little bit and the bark has more water in it, so it makes it a lot easier to remove them. I finish these with usually a bit of beeswax or a bit of sanding sealer. I know sanding sealer is not really a finish, but it works on these bark bowls quite well. And you do need to prop them open, otherwise when they dry, they curl in and close them on top of themselves. So when these eggs come to me, they've already got the insides taken out, all the yolk and the white part of the egg. They extract it through this small hole. The shell itself is probably only just over 1 millimetre thick. So with the shades, they reckon there's about 7 different shades of green through to the white. I can find about 4 at the moment. I'm relatively new to this. I've probably been carving eggs for nearly 2 years now, so it's still quite a new practice to me. I do tend to draw onto the shell, but once you start carving, you can't really see where you're going. So a lot of it I outline with the small tungsten carbide burr, and then once you've got an outline there, it's a lot easier to follow. So these eggs can take anywhere between an hour and a half through to, I think the longest one I've worked on is about 8 hours. The more I'm doing it, the more confident I'm getting with it, the quicker I'm able to get through them. So today I'm going to carve one with one of the plants that were food source found in the water. It's called Kumbungi, but I'm going to carve only one side of it. Normally I carve right around the whole egg. When it's going to be exhibited on the back side, so it only needs one side showing. And the Kumbungi was used, you could eat the roots of the plants, the stem of the plants. The leaves are used for making twine, so we can make nets, baskets, and etc., as well as the flower heads had a lot of pollen in it, which although I haven't tried it, you apparently could make a flower out of the pollen and use those. And I was almost finished, and I've put a hole in it. It is that thin. I was actually going to stop about half an hour ago, and I probably should have, but this is actually quite frustrating to get to this point. I've not put a hole in an egg for quite a while now, so it's probably inevitable to happen again. It's been probably about 3 hours, maybe 3.5 hours that I've been at this now, and to get to that point and put a hole in it is quite disappointing. Yeah, that's how it goes, and it won't stop me. I'll keep going. Cheers. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you've enjoyed learning about my culture and my country. Thanks, and see you later.